Hey, what's up, guys? Missile Terminators are probably one of the biggest reasons that Chaos Absolute runs fail, and this poll that FTG ran shows clearly that people voted for Missile Terminator as one of the most dangerous enemies. So I wanted to make this video to show you guys the top ways to stay alive against Missile Terminators and show you a couple tricks that you may not be doing that can make it significantly easier to stay alive. Alright, we're going to start off in the training room, but we're not going to stay here. I have a bunch of clips from real absolute runs, but I just wanted to show this first because I wanted to show that if you dodge Terminators correctly, you can pretty much dodge them for like almost an infinite amount of time, even if it's double Terminator. It gets a little more tricky with triple Terminator, but that doesn't happen in a lot of real scenarios. So what you're going to want to do, and the main tactic against Terminators, is you need to get at least in mid-range from them, and then you need to turn them if they're firing the minigun. And because they have a slow turn rate, they just can't keep up with you. So if you're dodging to the side of them, they just won't be able to hit you. And then with their other common attack, the red missile circle, the most consistent way to dodge all of its damage is to dodge forward as soon as it launches, but you can also dodge it, as you can see here, by dodging to the side. So as long as you know that when they're firing up the minigun, you need to dodge to the side pretty hard so that they can't keep up with you, and then when they do the missiles, you dodge into them if you can, but if you can't, you can still dodge to the side and get most of the damage missed. And those are the two big ways that you're going to be able to avoid damage from Missile Terminators. And if you get that down, it makes it a lot easier in your real runs. But a lot of the time, I will say in real runs, it's not so easy to do that because you can be trapped in a corridor and you may not be able to dodge to the side to avoid the minigun, or various other issues. So I'll break down some more nuances if you guys want to stay and look at some of the real run absolute clips. Alright, so this is one scenario where it doesn't work too well to dodge to the side because I'm in this corridor, so I'm just dodging as much to the side as I can as I'm getting closer to him. And then once you're close to them, they're a lot less dangerous, so sometimes in those kind of scenarios, you may have to take a bit of damage. I could have continued forward to where the sorcerer was maybe instead and forced him to reposition, but sometimes you've just got to turn to the side as much as you can and then get closer to them as quickly as you can. So that's one real run scenario. And then in this next clip, you can actually just use cover to take them out too. So I see both the Terminators spawn on the bridge here, so I'm going to take cover behind this door. I'm going to use the door to avoid the missile damage, and then when the missiles have stopped going off, I'm going to peek out and I'm going to take a few shots at them. And then if they fire another barrage at me, I'm just going to go back behind the door. So if you have good cover, they shouldn't really be able to hurt you, and you can just take them out from range. So always take advantage if you have really good cover where you can avoid most of their missile damage. And then when it's just one Terminator, I know that I can work my way closer to him, avoid his damage, and take him out. So that's another kind of common scenario. And I know a lot of people are going to say, well, in my runs, it's pure chaos. There's a million enemies on the screen, and that's when the Missile Terminators give me a problem. If it's just me versus a Missile Terminator, it's no problem. So we have this clip here where it's a Hellbrew, an entire wave. I just have the bots with me, which are not too useful. This is absolute difficulty. And there's two Terminators, Missile Terminators, that are spawned right now. And one spawned behind me, so immediately what I did is I used this huge island in the middle to separate myself, and then one of them pops up behind me here as I'm running from the Hellbrute. And so I use one of my crack grenades to quickly take him out. And if you're in a chaos run, save back a crack grenade or a melt-a-bomb because you may need it to deal with a missile terminator, and that is a valid strategy. So you don't need to be wasting your grenades for other stuff if missile terminators are one of the most dangerous enemies. So there is still one missile terminator floating around here. You can see his rockets just went across the screen back there, so I'll just leave the footage running. So we're just using this island in the middle to kind of separate the enemies. We're kiting the Hellbrute so he doesn't take too much of our attention while we're kind of looking for this last missile terminator. So I'm just kind of going around, taking a couple pot shots and kind of waiting to see if I can find this last missile terminator and get him isolated from the Hellbrute. And I think there he is behind the Hellbrute, so I know where he is now. They just took down one of my bots. And then you always gotta be careful of the Hellbrute at range because those plasma cannon shots can be difficult to dodge. So always keep an eye on him and don't just assume he's going after your teammates or after the bots, because that's when you get shot in the back by a plasma cannon. And so finally we catch this missile terminator out alone here, and so we use the other crack grenade on him and we're gonna quickly finish him off the rest of the way. As you can see there, we dodged into the missiles, and then I can't really get closer to him because of the Hellbrute, so I'm just kind of dodging to the side as much as I can to avoid the minigun fire and firing off some shots in between to get my CHP back. And then one quick thing, if you can't get close enough to totally avoid their damage, what you're going to want to do is dodge to the side to avoid some of it, and then take a couple quick shots after you dodge to get your CHP back, and you can kind of get them down like that without taking too much damage. Some builds can DPS the minigun and win and not take much damage at all, but if you don't know if your build can do that and you just want to be as safe as possible, just do it like this. Alright, and then in this next clip here, we're just gonna show, even if you don't have perfect cover, even if you just have something like this little pillar like what I have here, that can still provide a surprising amount of cover. As you can see there, I'm going to be able to avoid 90% of the damage from the missiles. So this is probably the most consistent way to take Terminators out, is just get behind whatever cover you have and pot shot at them until they go down. And you know, you can even zoom in here if you have a scope and get a bunch of non-headshots because they need to do some work on the Chaos Terminator headshot zone. But it's probably makes sense lore-wise since their Terminator armor has that like shielding around their head. But man, it sucks in game when you feel like you have it zeroed in on their head and it's just still not giving it to you. But that's one of the best ways, is just get behind cover and pot shot at them. And then if you happen to be the Techmarine, you can just use your tarantula turrets and use your shoulder cannon and just nuke the hell out of everything. So I'm going to quickly take this Terminator out. Pretty easy. That tarantula cannon did really solid work there. So Techmarine can be kind of squishy, but if you use your shoulder cannon smartly and stay close to your tarantula cannons, he can be very, very deadly as far as the DPS output, so he can definitely deal with Terminators really well. And then we'll finish off the video with one clip of what not to do. So in this clip, there's a Terminator that's going to spawn at the end of that corridor, and I should have stayed behind the door, but I just rushed closer to him and I took pretty much a full life bar of damage, and I did get him down, but it definitely wasn't ideal. I could have stayed in cover, stayed in that little room and just pot shotted at him from safety. So that was definitely a mistake on my part. But in this next clip, I don't really have anywhere to take cover. because I would have to run all the way back down that long corridor behind me. So now I have to rush close to him, but I was a lot closer to start. And so you just kind of have to think about like what kind of scenario you're in right now as to should you take cover and pot shot or rush close and dodge to the side while you're doing it to avoid damage. And that's basically the crux of how to take out Terminators. Either you're going to take cover and pot shot, or you're going to dodge to the side while avoiding minigun fire as you work your way closer. And those are the two main strategies that are going to keep you alive. And then if you have some sort of like thing at the end of Fall of Atreus where you can like kite around, like how I was with the hell brute, using that huge island in the middle to separate the enemies, that's another thing you can do to kind of separate them and make it easy for yourself. And that's pretty much the main things that you're going to be able to do to stay alive against missile Terminators. If you guys enjoyed the video, drop a like on it for me. If you guys have been enjoying my content, consider subscribing. It really does help the channel. We're almost at 3,000, so that would mean a lot to me. Let me know down in the comments what you guys do against missile Terminators when you fight them. What kind of tips do you guys have for taking them out? And let me know what kind of video you would like to see next. Have a good one, guys.